Hi, I'm Rosalind and I am the face behind Singing with Rosalind. Pleased to meet you. And as promised, I'm here to share my story with my own struggles with anxiety and depression. So who is Rosalind? Well, I grew up in a very small town, Grabouw, in the Western Cape province in South Africa. And growing up, my life was normal, just as the average child, having everything that I needed. My parents, I had clothes to wear, I had food, and I had protection, a house to live in, but I didn't have the one thing that every child should have, and that is love. Now, I don't say that my parents didn't love me, because they did and they do. But what I've discovered is that very, very early, when a child is born, then there needs to be a bond. That child needs to feel that mom and dad is here for me. And they will do everything in their power to protect me. Whenever the baby is crying, they wouldn't just leave the baby and let them cry, because in some households and some upbringings, it's like that if that baby cries, you don't immediately run. You don't go for every need of the child, because the child must learn that you're not just going to jump for every need, even if that baby is really in distress. So that was just one of the things that I've discovered only recently, that might have been one of the things that happened to me when I was a child. So why do I say that? It's because I've heard my parents, when I grew up, how they talked, how they raised us. And my father used to relate a story with regards to my older brother, that he was a very, very naughty child. And so they didn't actually know what to do when he was crying, and they couldn't soothe him. And so what they've decided was that they are just going to leave him, let him cry. And I've also learned that when I was born, my mom didn't have breast milk, and she was struggling because she also couldn't soothe me. And so all I heard was that I was a troubled child. I was crying all the time. I never heard that, oh my word, when you were born, we were so happy. So that was one of the things, I think, that was ingrained in my mind. Even though I was a baby, I learned very, very early on that I wasn't wanted. So what I want to say is that when a child is born, even before that child is born, there's a script that is being written about that child, and that I learned from one of my psychologists, is that when a child is born, even before the child is born, it is like a blank piece of paper. And even though that child doesn't comprehend yet what's going on, it is being written, it's being written. And later on, those things come back and in the form of anxiety, in the form of depression, the child is struggling with self-soothing. The child is struggling with being able to communicate with other people, being able to make friends. The child is struggling with self-esteem. So, if I can come back to who is Rosalind? Well, Rosalind, as I discovered, was a happy chappy. My childhood was perfect. It was perfect. It was normal as it should be. I loved to play, and I had everything that a child needs, only for that one thing that I've told you about. So I went through my life already very, very early. I've learned that I'm not wanted, and I've learned that I have to act in a certain way in order to be accepted, in order to be loved, in order to get attention. So, going to school, already I was bruised or damaged. And so now I came into an environment where I was like just looking for that attention and that acceptance and everything. And I didn't receive that. And the teachers and the children and everybody else, they didn't know that was the one thing that I wanted. So what happened? I was severely bullied. And I never told a soul. I never told my parents. I never told my siblings. I have a younger sister and I have an older brother. But I never told anybody because I never felt like I could confide into my parents. And I felt ashamed because I just wanted to be that perfect child. I didn't want to be a nuisance. So then I never knew there was something like emotions. It's only when I got depression and anxiety that I learned about these things. That actually what happened to me was that all of these years I actually blocked out my emotions and I suppressed it. So all the bad things that happened to me, It was just like, well, okay, it happened, and there I go. I never dealt with it. I just suppressed it. And it got to a point where my body said, it's enough. I can't handle it anymore. I can't take the pain anymore. You need to do something about it. And that is what I've learned about depression and anxiety. It is things that have happened to you in your past. Things that have happened to me in my past that I have to deal with now. There are certain things that I know that have happened, like the bullying, but there are other things that have happened to me that I have simply blocked out. So it's suppressed memories, and I'm still working on it with my psychologist and my psychiatrist. But what I want you to take from my story is that as a person, you're not just a body, you're not just a physical, but there's also an emotional side to you. You have a soul and you have a spirit. And like the message that I got when I grew up is that you're not supposed to cry. You're not supposed to talk about your feelings. I want to tell you that if you have small children, and no matter what age you are, that you have to come to the realization that there is another part to you. And I can almost say it's the most important part of you, your soul, that needs attention. Like your physical body needs attention, your spiritual body needs attention, your soul needs attention. And you need to take care of it. You need to be in touch with it. You need to know that, okay, now I'm sad, or now I'm angry, and you need to feel it and not push it away and not suppress it. And you need to know that as a child, you have a right to express your feelings. It's not a way of or a form of disrespect, because that was the message that I got, that you don't say how you feel, because that means you are disrespectful. And so I never learned about boundaries and that I can protect what is mine and what is important for me. So such a lot happened in my life that I wasn't aware of. And I thought my life was normal. Like I said in one of my posts, and I've discovered it wasn't normal and it wasn't okay. So when was I diagnosed with depression? When I was 37 years old. And before that, I had a few incidents where I had panic attacks, and I was just prescribed antidepressants, and was just saying, the doctor was just saying, just stressed. And so I continued on with life until in 2015, the brick wall came down on me. My life as I knew it collapsed. And it was like everything that I knew before was gone. Rosalind was gone. There was no joy in life, no hope for the future. I lost my sense of identity. I was tired all the time, didn't have any appetite. And the panic attacks, it was coming and coming and coming and coming. And I was scared of the panic attacks. So they had to put me on medication, different types of medication. And I'm thankful for all the psychiatrists and psychologists for everything that they did for me. And then the psychotherapy started. And at first it was just like, I don't know what these people are trying to do. I have no idea what they are trying to do with all these things like meditation, and I must do arts and crafts, and I must breathing exercises, and I must make time for myself. I didn't know what they were trying to do. But as I was trying to figure out what was going on with me, slowly but surely, the fog lifted, and I began to see that actually these people know what they are doing, and they're trying to help me. And I can see now that yes, there was something wrong. There was something wrong with me. My life was completely out of balance. And my body simply couldn't take it anymore. So now I'm much better than I was before. And I'm discovering every day, and with my psychologist and with my psychiatrist, we explore different things, and I've learned so much about myself. And just recently I told my psychologist that actually depression came to save me. Yes, it came to save me, because my life, as what I regarded as the perfect life, wasn't what it was supposed to be. And so now I'm dealing with all the wounds, all the pain, all the things that I suppressed. And I'm getting better. And so now I want to see that others who are suffering like I am, that they also can have the hope that, you know, all these things that happened to you, it didn't just happen overnight. So it's going to take some time. It's going to take a lot of time, even if it's going to take the rest of our lives. But we are getting better, and we are getting to that place where we feel like I'm actually okay, and I'm that person that I was supposed to be all the while. So, and then on another note, I want to say, if you're a parent, if you're an uncle, an aunt, if you're a teenager, if you're in your midlife, doesn't matter where you are in your life, that the children, the early years from baby, that those years are so important, and it's so important that they get what they need in those years. And I would like to say, like Oprah said in one of her shows, is that if you know better, then you can do better. So that's my story, with not a lot of detail, and I might share more things in the future. But I really, really sincerely hope that this is going to help you. So, from me, I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful life, and that you realize that you are important and that you are loved, and that you can create a life worth living. Thank you. Bye.